Okay, I think that we can get started now with our 20-minute webinar. So thank you all for attending. Today we'll be discussing accelerating root cause analysis for remote call center agents. And we will be speaking with some of our very important people at NetBeez here. Greg and Stefano will be leading the discussion and showing you a quick demo of our software and some updates, and especially more about root cause analysis and how we can figure out what is going wrong with your call center employees and how we can help fix it. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to either add them to the chat or you can ask them at the end with the Q&A button, but we will get to all of your questions. Thank you for attending, and I will hand it over to Greg.
Hey, thanks, Jess. Some of you might be expecting George from Intuit. Last Thursday, he had a conflict. We were all set up, ready to go. So we're rescheduling with him. Might be a couple months. We've got two webinars coming next week, one with Dell and the other with Best Egg Marlet Funding that we're working on. So we'll get him in the schedule. If you could advance to the agenda. So we're going to make this very quick so we can get to the demo and the Q&A. We'll talk about the remote call center challenges, work from home, network monitoring requirements. We'll talk a little bit about the NetBeez remote worker agent, and then we will go to the demo and Q&A with our CEO, Stefano Gridelli. Next slide, please. So if you're on this call, you might be already, or video Zoom, you're probably already aware of many of these problems. Literally this weekend, I had a hardware problem with our camera on this 7-year-old laptop, and I spent hours trying to fix it. First, I thought it was a Zoom issue. I went through the Zoom tree, tried to fix these settings on the PC. Long story short, went to Best Buy, bought a new camera, put it here, but then the software didn't install. I had to get my son after many hours to figure it out, and we finally did. Consumer grade network equipment at home, right? Old laptop. We had just changed rooms, so I wasn't sure. It might have been the Wi-Fi, right? And I was wondering if, the internet service provider, because the video was intermittent and kind of low res. So internet service problems, home Wi-Fi coverage. When I went through the Zoom diagnoses, they wanted me to run a cable from my laptop to the router. And anyway, it got to be a whole big deal over a really trivial issue. I didn't have VPN or VDI, but then obviously with VoIP scaling, that's extra complexity. And at the end of the day, had this been during the work week, had it been, half hour before this webinar, you could see the impact, right? The difficulty, the need for view, and then strain on help desk, right? So I wasn't particularly technical with diagnosing, so I had to have our IT department at home, my son. But in a corporate environment, some people don't have sons that are gamers, streamers, that are building their own PCs and networks. So you have extra strain on the help desk. Next slide, please. So really, there's been a shift in requirements for network monitoring, really driven by COVID, driven by the whole work from home culture. The focus from shifting from whether a router or switch is working to what the end user experiences, right? Verifying the availability and performance from the user perspective, the ability to detect and identify the network versus application issues, fault isolation. When you install things at home, really needs to be plug and play versus requiring technical specialized skills to get people started. And then when issues are intermittent, like Wi-Fi is often, when a microwave is running in the next room, et cetera, the ability to extract analysis from raw data from an end-to-end basis versus sample data is really key. Next slide, please. Stefano?
Yes, thank you, Greg, and hi, everyone. Yeah, as the lockdown started last year with the COVID-19 pandemic, we immediately start thinking how we could help our customers and many more that were struggling with everybody working from home. So we really expanded the NetBeez network monitoring solution to also include work from home by relying on endpoint agents, so software installs, put simply. because our really goal is to make sure that this team can still be efficient as they were before COVID, now that especially they have many more remote locations to support. So we released last October in 2020 the work from home endpoints after some very successful beta deployments with some key customers. The remote worker agent is a Windows or Mac endpoint that can run on any laptop or desktop system, and that once installed, it provides network telemetry data and end user experience to the network infrastructure operation team. The installation is very simple. It can be installed by the end user itself, or it can be also instrumented by tools like SCCM, for example, or Intune by scripting. So it's especially useful when you are hundreds or thousands of users under management. The features that are allowed to be captured by the endpoints are things like a network latency, packet loss, and jitter, for example. So one thing that we released that we found very important was providing on top of the latency and packet loss, also a quick feedback of how the applications, specifically the voice and video, are performing based on the network conditions. So we really added that feature a couple of months ago, and I can show you a bit more during the demo. Second, we also provide Wi-Fi metrics such as signal strength, link quality, that are very important to understand if the home Wi-Fi network is providing or not a good end user experience to the network and applications. And also interface status, because as you know, the performance changes if you're connected to the Ethernet to your switch directly to the router modem or through the wireless, and also understand the status if the user are connected or not via the VPN. So the benefits are immediate after deployment. As you know, we deployed many successful installation, and especially we see remote call center agents that they have a very strict service level agreements, and they cannot suffer network performance issues. We really see quick gain and benefits by eliminating the guesswork on the root cause of problems and immediately understanding whether a problem is caused by the wireless, the ISP, or maybe the application itself. So by enabling this type of monitoring, now they can retain the same business continuity and customer satisfaction as they had pre-COVID by working on-prem. But also they can support all this high number of users, each individually working at their home locations, and scale support without adding more people to their headcount, which is very important. So really, it's also a solution that, like was NetBeez before, still provide that data analytics at scale. So also infrastructure and operation teams can now make adjustment and optimize their infrastructure configuration, as Greg, for example, was saying, their VPN or VDI infrastructure if necessary. So definitely many benefits to this solution. So I want to stop a second now and go a little more on the technical details. I'm sure like some of the attendees may want to see a bit more information about what exactly we do. And here I want to first, before the demo, show a troubleshooting guide almost that we have implemented with many customers. And these are operational procedures that level 1 help desk team can follow easily without requiring being having a network engineering background, basically. So we really empower help desk and level 1 team to provide the first defense, first response to end user tickets, general remote call center agents, for instance, and let them know whether maybe it's something with their ISP, maybe something with their wireless, or it's something that is more on the backend side of the system they use, so it should be escalated with the level 2 or level 3 teams. So this workflow, of course, relies first on, when the user calls the help desk reporting application issue, the L1 can immediately check on the NetBeez dashboard if there is a target incident open. That means that there is a problem with the application that the remote call center agent is trying to access. If there is not a target incident open, then the help desk operator can check if there are perhaps any problem with the agent endpoint associated to the remote call center agent on their desktop. And if so, you can see if there is an incident or maybe an alert that trigger some sort of problems on a test. And by inspecting that, we can also check if the user is wirelessly connected, if perhaps the wireless matrix are degraded. So maybe the coverage or link quality is very low, that is impacted in user experience. And if not, we can also review the trace route data to see if perhaps there is actually a problem with the ISP or down in the internet that is causing the performance degradation issue with the call center experience, right? So let me shift now to the demo dashboard. As you can see here, the first screen is the bathtub, which is a 9,000 feet view into your network and your end user experience, right? Here is where agent incidents I was mentioning, and here the target incidents. So we can see that right now we don't have any open target incident. The last one, for example, for this application was closed. But you can see that definitely the CRM application is having constant periodic problems, which should be looked by the infrastructure and operation team. We also see that the Zoom target actually this morning had a problem. So if I start having calls to a desk from the remote call center agents, and I see that the Zoom, for example, is having performance issues, then definitely something that I have to escalate to the team, right? It's not on the user side in terms of problems. I also see here that I had 2 remote call center agents that had issues. Those are 2 Windows workstations. Right now, everything is good now because the incident is closed, but yet this is another signal that tells you, in this case, the network at the end user location is degrading the end user experience. So let's take the example when I want to see more details onto an end user. Let's take, for example, myself. I have I have a Mac laptop, and as you can see here, I have a NetBeez agent running on my laptop, and now I can briefly check, right, under the agents. Here you go. In this case, I have a demo dashboard, so not that many agents, but in the case of large organization, we have hundreds of thousands of agents. So it's necessary to type the name of the user to filter, the right agent and entry. I can then click in and access the agent details view. Here is where I can see the status of the interfaces. As you can see, I'm connected wirelessly to the network, and I have also a VPN connection ongoing. My wire connection is off right now. All the tests are green, but here is where if I have some problem at the network level with an application, I would start seeing orange for degraded performance or red for loss of reachability to that specific application. And here's the granular data that Greg was mentioning before, right? It's every single ping result and packet back and forth is logged into the dashboard. And it's also, you can also review it from an historical perspective, which is very important for different reasons. I can also generate the jitter, network jitter, on top of the network packets that I was telling you before. So I can tie my network performance straight to the voice and video quality. And also the MOS, which is a KPI of voice and VoIP call quality that tells me how good or bad my network connection is based on the latency and the packet loss. On the wireless section, here is where I can see all the wireless event. I can see if I have a good signal strength, a good coverage in my network, and how much is the noise. For example, if someone starts a microwave and you're in the 2.4 gigahertz, then you would see here definitely degradation due to an increase on noise. And I can also see for macOS, the MCS, which is a KPI, an index of Wi-Fi quality. So if you see MCS less than 5, then means that your wireless is having some performance issues and you need to perhaps consider moving closer to the access point or maybe changing the channel if you have interference with the neighbor's networks. All right, so don't want to go too deep into the demo, but this is a quick overview of the capabilities that now infrastructure and operation teams can gain when supporting hundreds, if not thousands, of remote call center agents. I don't know if we have any question at the moment.
We do. So it looks like we have 2 questions here. The first one is, how scalable is this solution? Can I support thousands of call center employees?
Yes, it is possible. Our solution, whether you run it on-prem or in the cloud, is highly scalable to thousands of call center agents. So yes.
Cool. I'm just thinking of this question, but what is your biggest deployment so far with customers?
I don't have the latest number, but it's in the thousands. Yeah.
Cool. And then another question is, what types of speed tests do you support?
Yes, we offer different types of speed tests. And one thing that I didn't show in the demo, of course, is that on top of real-time tests such as ping, DNS, HTTP, and traceroute, which are really good to understand network performance and application performance, we can also run estimate of download and upload speed with, for example, a network speed test. So you can see here, we have download, upload speed, right? So there are different types. For example, there are the NDT is one that gives you like that type of information. There is also fast.com, for example.
Cool. Okay, and it looks like we have one more. Is this solution call center centric only?
No, it is not. Of course, the call center is one great example of supporting remote workers at home, but definitely like it's really like kind of use case agnostic. Many industries can rely on this monitoring to support their users, whether they work in a call center or they're just a remote sales force or a productivity sales force.
Cool. Another one is, this appears to be a product that should be installed everywhere and running all the time. If we were trying to limit costs, can it be used mostly as a diagnostic tool?
So it could be, but I always give words of caution with deploying this ad hoc, because you want to have also capture historical data, because there you will be your baseline of comparison when you compare the graded performance with what should be a good overall performance. So yes, you can, but my recommendation is always have it always on, and you have also a good reference point. Without that, it's very difficult to troubleshoot.
And I think if Mike were to speak to our sales team or learn a little bit more about our deployments and the way that we kind of analyze cost with this, I feel like having it up and running all the time wouldn't be that much of a difference either.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Cost.
Absolutely. We would work with you. I mean, we're fairly competitive pricing. Of course, I don't want to do the sales spiel, but yeah, we'll definitely something that we analyze with the customer, make sure that, it's something that where there is an ROI at least, right? Yes.
Yeah. All right. It appears that is all of the questions at this time. If anyone has any more questions, we are always available via intercom on our website, which is netbeez.net, and also available via email or the request a demo button on the website. So all of those can be found on our site, and we would be happy to answer any more questions that you have. So thank you so much for coming to our 20-minute webinar today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you next month as well. All right, thank you.